Ju Fufu, our new fire stunner, is here, and she's truly shining as one of our premier stunners that's been added into the game. If you guys saw one of my previous videos, you probably heard me mention that I only pulled this cute little tiger for one reason only: to run her in double stun comps. This is a team structure that is still pretty new to Zenless and has basically only been fully fleshed out with one character in the entire roster, my man HoYoverse. This is because currently he's the only DPS in the game that's designed with this team structure in mind, but I believe with the inclusion of Ju Fufu in the game, a lot more characters can experiment with this comp and actually be successful with it like him. So I decided to deep dive more into this team structure and explore different team comps to see which one works the best with Ju Fufu. And so in this video, not only am I going to be talking about Big Fufu, I'm also going to be talking about her premier stun partner, Lighter. I want to talk about why this comp is so great, the DPS that works with it the best, and if double stun comp is truly flourishing more because of Ju Fufu's inclusion. Now, when it comes to building any double stun comp in the game right now, Lighter is probably your best choice to pair with any stun unit in the game. This is because when building this team structure, two important things need to be considered. The team needs to be able to create more stun opportunities for their DPS, and the buffs that each stun unit provides needs to offer a similar value that a support would bring. This is the only way double stun can be effective right now in Zenless, and out of every stunner that fills those two conditions, Lighter does it the best. This is because he's a unit that provides massive DPS increases for both ice and fire units, not only through his kit, but with his weapon as well. If you compare Lighter's buffs to any other stunner in the game right now, you'll realize that none of them really compete with how substantial his buffs are, and that's due to how niche of a buffer he is. He also builds an insane amount of days in such a short period of time, making him a great partner for Fufu. This is because she's a stunner that offers more universal buffs while building days off field. In comparison to Lighter, her days build is a bit slower, but when you pair her up with a unit like him, the stun potential and how well their buffs stack up with one another is almost second to none. Like for instance, they both provide a crit damage buff for their team, providing an increase upwards to 80% crit damage without even considering their DPS's build, their own 4-piece set bonus, and all of the other buffs they have tied in their kits. This easily shows that having units like this paired together truly opens the potential that double stun comps can have, because their buffs together tied with their ability to stun so quickly makes their teams feel like they have supports that are capable of doing so much more. That's why I love this show so much and why I was super excited to invest in Ju Fufu. It's a team structure that's very unique and offers a playstyle that no other comp can provide. And the great thing about it is that the level of investment that's required for it to perform well is very minimal. To help you guys understand more about this though, let's talk about the characters that I think performs really well with this comp. During my testing, I used the best attackers that could probably take advantage of all the buffs that both Fufu and Lighter provides. This includes Soldier 11, Ellen, Evelyn, and HoYoverse. All of these units already have Lighter as their best in slot stunner to use in their team, and they all love Ju Fufu as a great second option. So it felt like it was a no-brainer to test and see if they would enjoy both units on a team together. Starting with my girl Soldier, I found this team to work just as well as my Lighter Astra comp, which surprised me at first, but after looking at Ju Fufu's kit a bit more, it actually made sense. Ju Fufu is a unit that offers a bigger crit damage buff than Astra, while also being able to match her team damage buff through her engine if she wanted to. Fufu then offers two buffs for Soldier that in comparison to Astra's seems more valuable than her damage buff in general through chain attack and ultimate damage increases. I believe these buffs are a lot more valuable for Soldier because the ultimate damage is super important for her DPS during every stun, and the fact that Fufu also increases the decibel cap for attackers allows Soldier to have ultimates ready at points she never would. The chain attack increase is even really nice for her as well, since her multipliers for it have never been the greatest. This means that the additional chain attack that Astra always provided never really benefited Soldier 11 much, making it an okay addition to her rotation, but never being really something she truly needed. This is ultimately why Ju Fufu feels like she's a better support for Soldier in the long run, because the buffs that she offers actually improve some of her weaknesses while also reinforcing her strengths. You pair this with Lighter, who already is considered Soldier's best in slot teammate due to the fire damage buff, fire res debuff, and crit damage buff he offers while being able to decimate days bars, and you end up with a comp that synergizes extremely well with her. I found that having this synergy is super important for double stun comps because the DPS still needs to comfortably perform their rotations at the rate these units trigger stun windows, and lucky for Soldier, she's one of the on-field units that still can. HoYoverse is another one as well, but but this is because he's a burst DPS that channels all of his damage into a single strike. His kit is also designed with double stun in mind, as he receives a massive attack increase in his kit for just having 2 stunners on his team. You pair that with the buffs from both Ju Fufu and Lighter, as well as his own, and you have a double stun comp that further turns this man into a monster of a DPS. This is a character that loves when more stun windows are triggered, since he can only deal damage during stun and he needs to do it immediately to maximize his DPS. This is why Ju Fufu and Lighter feel so good with him, even though I will say Lycan and Lighter are more than likely still his best in slot team. Fufu is just a nice replacement if you need to focus Lycan somewhere else, or if you're like me and you don't have him at all on your account. She also offers really good tech to help out Hugo's DPS that no other character really can with her off-field chain attacks. These attacks are considered aftershock when she's off-field, granting Fufu access to a move with heavy attack properties that can be switched into while she's performing it. This allows us access to instant chain triggers, shout out to my boy Leno, that benefits Hugo since his DPS during stun is tied to how much time is left. If timed properly, this results into chains being triggered with no downtime at all, allowing Hugo to always achieve maximum DPS on his rotations comfortably. Now this is a bit tricky to control and requires some practice to get down, but it is possible and brings some pretty good value to Fufu in Hugo comps. The only other character that could potentially come close to how fast she triggers chains like this is Lighter, and even then he's nowhere near as fast as Fufu, which is insane to even think. All in all, Soldier and Hugo synergizes really well with Ju Fufu and Lighter, potentially offering them their next best team right behind their best in slot. This is actually really great in my opinion, because it's always good to offer characters more team options and flexibility to allow them to clear content in different ways. Now, when going over these 2 DPS, you might not have noticed at first, but there is something that these 2 units share in common, and it's one of the main reasons why this comp works so well with them. Both Soldier and Hugo are attack units that don't have to manage a unique resource. This is something that's kind of important to know, because when pairing Ju Fufu and Lighter with them, it's really easy to meet their win conditions in order for them to perform a proper DPS rotation. But when this comp is paired with units like Evelyn or Ellen, I notice that there's a core issue that I run into them. That issue is double stun just stuns too fast for them. Both Evelyn and Ellen are units that need to build resources on field before every stun window is triggered. This means that they need a lot of field time to build these resources, which will require them to compete with field time with a unit like Lighter. Because of this, one of 2 things ends up happening a lot. The DPS ends up not having resources built for stun, forcing them to build it during stun windows, which results into worse DPS, or you have to forcibly slow down how fast the team stuns to make sure that the DPS has resources available. This completely goes against the purpose of running double stun comps though, and still ends up resulting into worse DPS anyway. Like for instance, in Shiyu, these DPS should be able to clear within about 2 stuns if all win conditions are met for each unit. But with both Evelyn and Ellen, I found myself needing 1 more stun window to get the job done, because I just don't end up having the resources needed during the second window. This has consistently resulted in them having worse clear times for me than my Soldier 11, which is insane to say, especially if you understand their power differences. Now even with this said, that doesn't mean that you can't run this comp with them at all, because you still can. You'll still be able to effectively clear any in-game content when running double stun with Evelyn or Ellen. All this really tells us is that when looking for their best in slot teams that they much more prefer, Hypercarry is something that allows them to clear a lot more comfortably and efficiently. I also found that these characters just like being paired with a support more than 2 stunners because of how their kit works. Evelyn, for example, loves performing as many chain attacks as possible, and she needs to be able to quickly get on field to build her resource. Astra is the best unit that supplies her the ability to do this, which means more often than not, you would rather have Evelyn and Astra paired together while having Lighter or Ju Fufu fill that last slot on their team. The same with Ellen, she needs a lot of field time to build her resources too, and having a support that grants her quick assist helps with this, since it'll give her access to quick charges to build stacks faster with her dash attack. Now, something like this probably seems small, but it matters a lot when it comes to the overall flow of a team's performance, and it can make the difference in a team's strength. This is why double stun doesn't feel as good with these 2 units, but like I stated before, this doesn't mean it can't work. I'm actually glad I found this though, because it helped me understand the strengths and weaknesses of the double stun comp a lot more, and it'll definitely help me build better teams in the future because of it. Overall though, Ju Fufu's inclusion has definitely opened up the possibilities of even more double stun comps being viable now and in the future. This is a team structure that needed more flexibility in order for it to expand beyond a few units, and because of her inclusion, this has become become a viable team comp for 4 more DPS in the game so far. Her introduction has also opened up build experimentation with stunners as well. If you guys didn't see Kete's video the other day, there's a Japanese player that discovered a support build for Ju Fufu using Swing Jazz. This was a great discovery because Fufu performs chain attacks off field on her own, allowing her to easily keep up with the 15% damage buff that the set provides while offering the energy regen that this comp desperately needs. This allows her to fit the mold for double stun comps even more because she's able to properly cover a weakness that this comp has, which is the lack of energy regen. This is now my go-to build for Fufu because it allows her to support her team so well, and it allows you to easily get the required attack you need for her buff without having to focus on the 50% crit rate requirement with King of Summon. Now I just let Lighter rock it to provide the buff for the team, and it honestly makes running double stuns so smooth now. See, Ju Fufu has honestly done a lot for this comp, making it much more effective than before on all fronts. Now of course this is mostly with the pairing of her and Lighter, but I do believe there is more potential to be had with other stunners and her in the game. If you guys want me to cover that, let me know down below by commenting some of the other double stun comps you want me to explore. I'll be glad to do so, as this is surely becoming one of my favorite team comps in the game, right beside dual DPS. It's super fun and I honestly just hope you guys give it a try. Double stun is truly a comp that I believe is here to stay, and I only imagine that it'll get stronger and stronger as time progresses, which I can't wait to see. But that's everything that I have for this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Join the Discord if you haven't yet, and always remember to believe in you that believes in yourself. I'll see you guys in the next one.